So I actually want to speak on Jared's part now.
Please.
Yo.
Good how?
I just want to start out. When I first heard the song, didn't recognize that was Jared. I had to ask Terrence like twice because I was like, Jared is like really riding his beat right now. What's going on?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, you were doing your thing, man. Yeah, you really
Yeah, man.
it really sound like somebody hurt you too.
Hey, hey, yo. That's so funny.
So, I'll start off with the same question. What and or who inspired your verse?
Ooh, it's so funny because like I was thinking about that too. How our verses really like it really. I thought it would be oil and water, but it makes this cool like mixture. Now that I think about it now,
Like it meshes very well together.
Cause I was like, it's so funny. If we would have waited a few more months, I would have been dating, and I would have been able to relate to this on so many levels. At least topically. But I'm like, because we did it at the time we did it, I think I would have been in school at the time, Morgan, doing tests. So I was like, okay, cool. What relationship could I connect to that would make sense for me right now without feeling like it wouldn't be real to me? Because I'm like, I ain't worried about no chicks right now. Like, who am I really like gonna relate this to right now?
That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm like, okay, let me think about my relationship with God and like really like relate to that because I know that's something that's more real to me right now. Which most people probably don't even know it's about God, and I kind of set it up that way on purpose. And it kind of it gives you a fill in the blank kind of moment. So like even when I was saying that verse, I've been thinking about how I'm gonna grow. I don't see results. And you may even go through the verse too. I don't want to steal.
Yo.
It's like me literally.
Please go.
It's like me literally picturing my relationship with God, and me not living up to the kind of man I want to be for God, but just like kind of going through the motions of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll start it off with that. Like that was the premise of the verse. Definitely picturing my relationship with God in that sense.
Okay.
When he told me, I was like,
I know when you frame me around God, I'm like,
that's so funny.
that makes it make like it makes sense. Don't get me wrong, it makes
dollars,
perfect sense. But it meshes so well now that you added that piece to that. I'm so happy you told me that.
That's funny.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That just threw me off a little bit. And that's funny because that's actually the next line I was about to tack on.
Right. I was like, let me not get too much because I know you're ready to go through that joint.
Wow. So, like you said, I've been thinking about how I'm gonna grow. I don't see results. My heart is screaming go.
Yes.
So there's an aspect that I wanted to touch on that. How do you know the difference between fear and actually knowing when it's time to actually pack up and
and just do the thing.
Next thing?
Yeah. I think for me, I recognize. I kind of what Terrence was saying, like, are you gonna wait to do this thing, or are you just gonna go and do it, type of thing. And I think I've been realizing that more with myself. Like, there's aspirations I have of myself, of course, musically, creatively, and also school-wise and just life-wise. But I see more fear when I'm looking at these things and I'm staring it in the eye and I'm not going after them. And I see myself actually going to do it when I'm actually going to do it.
Right.
When I'm consistently, like even when you came in, Gabe, I was showing you just the clothing stuff I've been working on, just in different endeavors that I told myself, man, I'm a do this thing. And now I see myself actually doing it. Like even if I'm not even gonna be good at it initially, but
you just see yourself.
I'm just seeing I can picture it, I can envision it.
Yeah.
So I think more of the fear comes when I don't take those chances, when I don't take those steps to be like, dang, like I may mess up, but whatever. Like at least I tried it, type thing. I think that's how I can discern the difference, at least for me, when I'm not trying.
I like that because I can definitely relate to that. I feel like when I sit and just see something, I just think about all the possibilities of what can go wrong, or that anxiety starts to build.
Yeah.
I like that, and I like that go get it attitude. Like, like let me just do it. Let me stop thinking about it. Let me stop worrying. What's the worst that can happen? Type deal.
Yeah, yo.
I like that mindset a lot. And then you spoke about love being wasted And somebody kind of like pointing that out, like, hey, like you're wasting love right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've wasted love in your life?
Ooh.
And if you have, one, how did you come to that realization? And two, was there any like, did you take any action afterwards, or what was the thought process during that? Like, did you think like, oh man, like let's say for instance, if it was like, oh, my mom just like made me like a grilled cheese or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like take the time to thank her, and I just ate the grilled cheese. Like, would you go back and like say thank you and like really just like, or like so run me through that. Like, what's up with you?
That's an interesting point you bring. I'll give you, I guess, two perspectives, because I like that family perspective too, because I've been finding a lot of things I learn about love I need to be applying in my immediate family. So I want to go back to that as well. In terms of God, because that's kind of like where the initial thought was, right? Like, as I was like thinking about it, I was like, okay, God's grace is ginormous, right? It's big, it flows, it's kind of everywhere. His love is everywhere.
Yes.
And we know that it's infinite. So I'm like, if it's infinite and there's this infinite forgiveness as well, when you choose to repent, in my mind, I'm like, okay, if there's all this love going around, why am I so down in the dumps and just not acknowledging it? Why am I so built up in shame of the person I'm trying to be that I'm not being? Why am I not acknowledging, like, okay, God's gonna love me regardless, even if I don't amount to the things that I say to myself, oh, I'm gonna be.
Right.
Yeah, so that was initially where my head was at. I was like, okay, God's got all this love. I see the way that you treat me when I refuse to realize the love I've been wasting. Like dang. It's just kind of like a love letter to God. Like, I see the way that you love me even when I don't love myself type thing. But going to family though, I'm like, that's kind of true too, because I think even the dynamic I have in my house, and I'm just like, I'm home, I come home every day, there's always like toilet paper in the joint, there's always soap, there's always like things there that I don't even gotta worry about. And how many times do I go to my parents and just be like, yo, like, thank you for just serving me in this way, thank you for loving me and raising me in this way. There's sometimes I come home and I go like straight upstairs, because like me and Malachi, that's my brother, by the way, we just be lifing. And
Shout out Malachi.
You know what I'm saying? That man, he nice for real.
Beast.
And I just come home and I'm just like, I go straight to my room, get to the things I gotta do. But you bringing that up actually like kind of hits me now, because I'm like, how many times I come home and be like, yo guys, thank you for just being consistent in the ways that you love us, in the ways that we don't even always acknowledge type thing, you know? So that's low-key another way that makes it hit more too. Shoot.
Dang.
It's crazy.
Nah, I definitely, I can relate to that. I find myself sometimes I sleep in the basement, so I just go straight to the basement and I'll just crash after like a long day or something like that. But no one really takes the time to think about like all the things that like are put in our lives, especially when it comes to like our parents. Because we're just so used to being like provided for us. We take it for granted. And I feel like you could say the same thing about God's love too. Like, it's taken for granted because you know it's there. But it's also like, it doesn't have to be there. And I feel like that's something we have to appreciate even more than it just always being there.
So true.
Yeah, I really like that. And then I actually had one of the lines that really stood out to me. Going back a little bit, you were talking about, you said, gotta know the end of my story, so I default to me with my faulty remedies.
Yes.
I
look-key knew he was gonna pull that one, because
that's
That's
a bar.
That's my favorite line, high key.
Yeah, that really stood out to me.
Shoot.
So I want you to break that down.
Yeah.
Fully. I don't even want to talk about it. I want you
for
to
sure.
break it down.
I've been thinking so even that first line, gotta know the end of my story. I'm a type of person who likes to be in control and know where the end result's gonna be. And I think with that, it comes with this pride, I guess, in a way. Like, I always have to be the hero of my own story. I always got to know how to fix everything, type thing. And I think with that, sometimes sin can get involved, like where I'm not choosing the best options to go after the best decision for myself, whether it be lust, whether it be lying, whether it be pride. And those are the faulty remedies that I think I reference. Like, I go to sin because I'm just super prideful. I'm not willing to get that help. So that's kind of what it meant, at least I think for me in that sense. And I kept it really open because I kept the whole verse really open because I wanted people to pinpoint like, yo, I can see myself in that verse. I can see myself in that verse type thing when you break it down. But also, if you're not a verse person, like, you can just vibe to it because it's a good melody. Honestly. Yeah. So I feel like it suited both of those needs. But that was the big thing because I think we all want to know, like, dang, where we going to be? What am I going to do? What am I going to do in my life? But I think with that, if we're not willing to get help along the way or willing to ask the things that need to be asked, to not do it on our own, we're just gonna be with ourselves and super prideful, and it's not gonna work out the way we want, honestly, all the time. We need each other, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think relying on people is borderline a superpower. I mean, not fully relying on people, but you know, like looking at people as a source.
Yeah.
That can change your life in so many ways. I can't tell you how many times I thought, oh man, I gotta do this by myself. And then I just asked one person, just not even for help, just for their perspective. And they just switched my whole thing. And then the situation became a lot easier, and I knew I had a better idea of what to do. So yeah, I think it's always great to you know, go back and look at, you know, whether it be family, friends, a significant other, anyone that you feel is trustworthy in your life. I feel like it's always great to go back and use them. Not use them, but
resource type. Type stuff.
And I like how you spoke about the melodies, because that's also what I was going to talk about. I wanted to compliment you because I don't know what it's called. I'm not a music person. But the harmonizing echoes that y'all did, and like, it just, I don't know. It felt, everything in the song felt like perfectly placed. And I think your voice did wonders. So for you, what was it like trying to like come up with the melodies and everything like that? Like, like fitting into those pockets, because I feel like y'all both played very well into it. But I mean, for Jared specifically,
I definitely want to know this.
It felt like, it literally felt like a magical night, because like I remember Terrence even hit me up wanting to like be like, yo, like see if you could add a verse on it. And I think like I took like a week because I was like, dang, I don't want to slide that. He kept like hitting me up like, yo, you get your verse in? I'm like, okay. I still want to hit it. Like, I want it to be good. So I was like, what do I want to do? And I think that's what, I think the words came before. No, because I don't write like that. I usually get the melody and words at the same time.
Okay.
I was at Morgan, I think, when I first wrote it. I wrote it out. And then when I was with Malachi, shout out Malachi, he's really good at like, I love working with him because if I'm thinking a certain path, he'll switch it up and be like, let's just do this. Like, let's do something random, like dumb. So originally we weren't even gonna like, I don't know if you even noticed in the beat, it does like a trap beat almost type thing, like.
Yeah, I gotta go back and listen.
You know what I'm saying? So the whole vibe of the song is like this R&B, like. We even changed the drums too, because originally his boy Rylan had some drums on it. We were like, yo, let's hit this. That boy Rylan different, bro. Shout out Rylan.
Bill, and there's
so we switched out the drums, and it had this nice like type thing to it, right? So then we were like, okay, how do we switch it up? So I think Malachi had the piano. We're just like, we hit the little MIDI controller. That MIDI controller actually. Hit the MIDI, and then we just took all the drums out. We were just like, no drums, just a hat. And then I was like, hold on, let me slide in that Malachi record me, because like I low key think I have an idea. And I think it started with a mumble. It was like, I just sang the melody
crazy.
first. And it was just singing it. And I knew what I wanted, like even background as well. I was like, I was like, Malachi, yo, record that. Like, we're going to need that later.
Wow.
So then I eventually put the words to match the vibe. I had to like tweak the words more too, because I had some of the words, I just didn't have all of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I tweak. It was just magical. Everything just kind of came together.
Yes.
And I was originally going to stack the vocals, because I've worked with his dude, both of our guys now, Ty.
Oh my goodness.
Great dude. Yes. Ty, bro.
Shout out Ty.
And seeing his work ethic was cool, because he likes to double all his vocals, like pan one, pan left, right, to make it sound bigger. And he be getting that radio ready sound. But I was like, I would do that with this, but for me, like, I just heard it as just a single vocal, especially because of the depth of the verse and what it's talking about. I just heard it in my brain. It's like, okay, I'm only gonna do one track of me just singing it, and we're just gonna turn the gain up as loud as possible, so we don't have to like keep stacking vocals. And I'm just put background vocals that I heard on it and see what happens. I was like scared too, because we doubled his vocals. I'm really in that producer mind right now.
Yeah, I'm like catching like 50% of what he's saying. It makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
nah, keep going though. Keep going though. Yeah,
We doubled his vocals,
Yeah.
because I wanted like a Justin Timberlake, Bobby Caldwell type of feel to his vocals. So that's why you hear like these.
Shout out anyone who knows Bobby.
So we doubled it, but the only fear with that was like, okay, if his is doubled and mine is not, like, what's it gonna do to the dynamic of it?
Yeah.
So we edited some stuff. We did put some delay, and it still ended up working good. Like,
Nice.
thankfully,
Came out beautiful.
So that's kind of the idea of how the melody came about, though. My favorite melody I've written. I don't know how I'm gonna top it, but we'll keep going.
Can I say like a
Go ahead,
quick
go ahead,
nugget
go
with
ahead.
Yeah.
like cause the part where it's thinking
Yeah.
that part wasn't written yet, and when he did his verse he's like, bro, I got something. Right. You know, Jared like has the same like face for everything.
Bro, he's so monotone about it.
Yo.
He's just like, you don't know.
Like, he sent it to me and I put it on my laptop. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta add something.
I can't let this man show me up. Not a lie.
I was like, this ain't my song no more. So I was like, and I couldn't force it. Like, it had to make sense.
Right.
And I think it was my choice. Yeah. So like,
That's so funny.
then because of him, we got the full picture now.
Yeah. That's so funny,
Because
bro.
that writing process, if I don't have a second verse, I'm not going to force it.
Yeah,
I had
that's
nothing
true.
left to say after the first
and
verse.
that's good.
And I was like, oh, Jared, who he's just one of my favorite people to work with anyway. And he's one of my favorite just people. Like that's my brother. As you can tell, I don't know how we get stuff done if I'm being honest. But yeah, when he showed me that verse, I was like, crazy. Like
That's
funny.
bonkers. But that's even just like a callback to what we were talking about earlier with just relying on other people. Y'all are bringing each other to push each other. Y'all are pushing each other to do better, to elevate, and look what we get from it. We get a beautiful song. Wow, just kudos to both of y'all.